It's time for the Kim Hammer Show, where you'll learn how your state government affects you, your family, and community. Here's Kim Hammer.
Good Saturday afternoon. Hope you're having a great Saturday. What is one of the first Saturdays in the month of January, and hope that you're having a great one. Hope that you had a great holiday season. I had some of the best of Kim Hammer shows on for the last couple of weeks, taking a little time off to be with the family and take care of things. And so we're back into the live stream again today, and appreciate you joining me here on the Kim Hammer Show. As always, would encourage you to go up to the KimHammerShow.com website. You can like it, follow it. We try to keep some things relevant that are going on with regards to politics and all things above. And so if you would, just get up on the KimHammerShow.com website and share that with your friends, if you would, to help just kind of drive the interest a little bit. We deal with a lot of things here in the state of Arkansas. A lot of times what I deal with is along the political line. Sometimes it's about the legislation that we've got going on, which starting next week, we will be in the budget hearings. And then we'll go into the fiscal session, which will last 30 days. And so over the next couple months, we're going to be dealing with the budget hearings and all the things relevant to the budget of the state of Arkansas. As I mentioned, we deal with legislative things, but today we're going to take a visit, or we're going to have a visit about a legacy, if you would, in the state of Arkansas, and it's the Gillette Coon Supper event. And I've got Larry Bauer, who is the treasurer of this event, on calling in today, and tonight's a big night for you, Larry. And first of all, let me just ask you, you're the treasurer of the event. How long you been a treasurer affiliated with the Gillette Coon Supper?
Wow, we get these jobs, and the only way you lose them is you have to pass away. But I'd say about 25 or 30 years. So.
Well, how many coons have you cooked over the 25 years?
Fortunately, I have to sell the tickets. So I can't be up there where they're parboiling the coon and stripping that fat off.
Okay.
So I haven't helped with that. They don't hold it against me. So
we probably just lost at least 3/4 of the listening audience because we just turned their stomachs. But the brave will stick with us. So
that's right.
Talk about the history, because this is like a big political event. That if you're not in the world of politics, you may not know about it. But talk about the long history. It's like 70+ years, I think, that this thing's been going on, if I remember reading right. So just give us the history of how it got started, and just play it out a little bit.
Okay. It started at least maybe late 30s, early 40s. In an agricultural community, they just wanted to have a get-together in January. There was a store on Main Street, restaurant, and it started out, they had a fellow named Buddy Sims to do the barbecuing of the raccoon. They had an event where they got together to have a party, more or less, and one of the things they did, if you were hunting deer and you missed a deer, they would you had to be there to have your shirt tail cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Then it progressed to the high school auditorium, and when they built the gym in the early, say about 1960, that's when it moved to the gym. I have a ticket from one of our local guys who's kind of a historian from 1957. The ticket was $2, so they've gone up to about 30. So when
the coon's gotten expensive over the years, man.
That's right, exactly. But they moved it to the gym. It started. It's sponsored by the Gillette Farmers and Businessmen's Club. That's our Rotary, and every other civic group. We just have that one group. And the main purpose of it at that time was to support the high school, elementary school, girls' state, boys' state. We purchased football jackets. It was an athletic club type. We used the Coon Supper to do all of that. We supported the Little League, the Pony League, the girls softball, all of that. Now, with the high school being consolidated, and this year they consolidated the elementary school, in 2008 we turned it into a scholarship program. But anyway, back to the politics of it. It really got going when Marion Berry, Congressman Berry, was a supporter of Clinton and lived a block away from the gym. and he started having all the politicians come to his house before and after the Coon Supper, and that's kind of when the political part got started. One of the original MCs was Benny Craig, was on the sports guy on one of the Little Rock stations way back when. That'd be back in the late 50s probably, and he kind of adopted it, and so that's when the word started getting out. And back in the heyday, that I would say there was at least 1,000 to 1,200 people there. Right now, we do about there'll be about 700 people there. We seat about 600 people.
That's still a lot of people. I mean,
Yes,
you draw them in from. Well, let me do this. Let me go back first of all. You're talking about that cutting the shirt tail. At our deer camp, that happens. That if you're, your first time out there hunting, if you miss it, they bring the kids in. They'll cut their shirt tail.
Okay.
Is that where is that where that tradition started, or is that just something y'all started doing? Because I've always wondered where did that tradition get started.
I do not know. I don't know that. I just always got a kick out of the fact that that's what they did. Back then, we actually, the club would actually sponsor a coon hunt. We'd go down toward the Arkansas River, toward the Pendleton Ferry at that time, and have a big bonfire and actually have coon hunters with their dogs, and the kids or whoever wanted to follow them would go out through the woods with the dogs trying to tree a coon and get one. And once in a while, they would get one. So
my grandson has gotten into coon hunting, and this past. So if you need a couple, well, actually, we're going to do a wildlife supper at my church a week from today. That's a public service announcement, by the way. On January 15th at Saline Baptist down in Tull, we're going to do a wildlife supper. We've already got the beaver lined up. We've got the coon lined up. I think we got a little bear meat. We've got, of course, deer and duck and all the other good stuff. And then we'll have, for the not so faint of heart, we'll have the catfish and the other things. That'll be a week from today. But so do you back then? And I mean, dog hunting is kind of a falling off art, if you would. We still deer hunt. At one of the camps my boys are a member of. But is that the way it still works today? Do the guys go out and do the coon hunt today, or how does that play out?
Yes, we have certain guys that provide us. They coon hunt, and then they'll dress the carcass and clean it and freeze it, and then we have a young man. He's 40 now, so he purchases the raccoon. And we have quality control. They have to leave 1 foot on the carcass, so we know that it's not somebody's kitty cat or anything like that. So
there goes the rest of my listening audience right there. We just lost the rest of them on that one, but so.
But there'll be brisket and ribs and sweet potatoes and barbecued rice and sheet cake, so they won't go away hungry if they come to the Coon Supper.
So let me ask you, the rural Arkansas is suffering as far as loss of population. We just went through the redistricting on the congressional districts, and just a huge shrinkage in the rural area. As far as the boost that this does, obviously, for the scholarships, how many scholarships are you able to award? And how do you go about awarding those scholarships now that the schools have consolidated over there? Let me ask you that first.
Okay. Well, they have to be a graduate of the DeWitt High School District. We originally started in 2008 with that, and we did the Gillette School District. Well, when they consolidated, we opened that to all of the graduating seniors. Right now, we're doing 4-year, and they're $4,000 scholarships. And pretty happy about that. We've awarded about 50 of those scholarships since 2008. We've actually paid out about $130,000 in scholarships, and so we're pleased that we got that going to support. And this is kind of a homecoming. We have people that'll the back table. That's kind of the happening table. one family, they have 18 people, another one has 15 people, and they all get together and visit. They have receptions at their homes before and after a lot of times, but it's kind of a reunion. It's everybody gets together. They have a hard time paying attention to the speakers because they're visiting and having a good time. So, but anyhow, we want to keep it going as long as we can. We've got to make some decisions with the consolidation of the elementary school because we can obtain the gymnasium, but we'll have to look at what it will cost and if we can maintain it and keep having the Coon Supper. So we're hoping to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's venture off, and we'll get back in a minute. Because let me ask you, how long have you lived down there in Gillette?
Well, I'm a native of Gillette, so I'm 74. Went away to college, got a winning number in the first draft lottery, so I couldn't get a job when I graduated until I did the military. So that brought me back to Gillette, and they offered me a job at the bank, and I was there for 40 years. So
I'm a product of a small school. Graduated Southside B branch with all 18 of us, counting me.
Okay.
So I want you to just have free liberty to talk about the impact of losing the school down there in Gillette and the consolidation, and give you an opportunity to just voice. Because quite honestly, I'm kind of a advocate for small schools, being a byproduct of one of them myself. Nothing against big schools at all, because I represent big schools, and that's fine. Just talk about the impact that it has had on Gillette with the decision to have to consolidate the school. Do you think anything differently could have been done? And just let me give you a moment to talk about that.
Well, time moves on. It is difficult to have a physics teacher for 4 or 5 students. So those issues are hard to overcome. The Gillette School District never failed to pass a millage increase to support the school. And it was a lot about the education of the kids as much as anything else. And Gillette always had a really good reputation for the test scores and that sort of thing. So, but it affects your whole community. It affects the businesses. I mean, just the time moves on. It's difficult for mom and pop businesses to survive. And when you lose your school, that's just even more when those kids aren't hitting the place to get snacks after school or before school. So it's hard to sit here and watch it, to be a part of it. Church attendance, that sort of thing. All of that's changed. When I started banking in 1973, we probably financed upwards of 30 to 40 farmers. Now, when I retired, we sold the bank before I retired, but we were probably down to 10 or 12. Consolidation of the farms. It's those farms might have 3 families back in the 70s to help with labor and everything on the farm. Now you've got farms the size of at least 4,000 acres where they've got 4 or 5 people that can handle with the new equipment and everything. So it's very difficult to watch it and be a part of it. It's hard to. We kept it as long as we possibly could, and that's kind of the way we want to keep this tradition going for the Coon Supper too. And it's going better now. With the consolidation, it's really going well now. It was tough at first, but the people have adapted to it, and the football team in Gillette was always a big deal. One of the things that we did at the Coon Supper every year was have the John Culver Award, and he was a young man who was lost his life in Vietnam, and the team would select a member of the team to be the John Cover recipient, and that was about the biggest deal as far as you can imagine, as far as an award from the football team. So we kept all those traditions as going as long as we can, and happy that it's going well now. We still, like you, we would like to have the school, but like I said, it's hard to maintain a school with not enough students. We were running out of students. We were running out of kids. So when I was first back and coached Buddy League and that sort of thing, we had three Buddy League baseball teams. Now you couldn't put together one. So that's just part of the problem.
Talk about you're a native of Gillette. I think you mentioned you're about 74, if I remember right, a second ago.
Yes.
The changes that you've seen in rural Arkansas, because I know if you're in the metropolitan area, sometimes people don't even think about what happens out in rural Arkansas, and there's rural Arkansas, and then there's the farmland of Arkansas, and talk a little bit about the adjustments that you've seen over the years, as far as and you talked about them a little bit, but as far as what you see the future holding. With the shrinkage of the population and the availability of manpower just to be able to work the jobs that are over there. I know over the, in that area, you've got the prison systems, that are big employers, but somebody that's a banker that's been around for 74 years looking at the future, what do you see out there?
I see places like Gillette, being bedroom communities. We have people that go to Lenox and Stuttgart. We have people that drive to Pine Bluff. Of course, the prison, like you said. It's interesting to see that when a home comes up for sale in Gillette, it sells. So still the reputation of the school district is good.
So as far as the housing market over there, you just mentioned that I would have thought that a house in Gillette might not have sold that quickly. Is that being driven by, what's happening all around the state, around the nation, or is that a testimony, as you mentioned, just the quality of the community that Gillette is? I
think both. I really do. Good reputation, plus, I don't know that I'd want to live in New York anymore. If I were there, I'd be looking to move to Gillette. I had a grandson that's in Dallas at 20 years old that decided he wanted to venture out. He came this summer and spent 2.5 months with us and worked on a farm, and he loves it here, but he needs to go ahead and get his engineering degree and find him a job in a metropolitan area. But I think with the COVID, I think things are going to change. I think some of these businesses are going to find out that you might live in a Gillette or B branch, and you might get into the computer and go to work every day for your company that's in California somewhere. Then you won't have to live in California and put up with that. So I think that's part of the future. We went trout fishing up at Calico Rock, and he said, "Man, I'd love to live up here." And after I graduate, and I said, "First, get $1 million." So if you better. It's hard to make a living in these places, but I think that it's going to be interesting to watch the future. I think we're looking toward corporate farms someday. We have absentee ownership now of our farmland as these families move away, and the folks, the anchors that were here in our community, when they pass away, then you have people that own that farmland that live in Oklahoma or Texas or that situation. So that affects everything too, because that money is not necessarily staying in your community and working. It's moving away. So, and that was kind of the way with the bank, with the ownership of the bank. I mean, we discussed whether or not what we should do with the bank. the bank commissioner came to see me. Fortunately, I got to play golf with him one time, and he was concerned about what you do with these small community banks. And we found out we either had to grow the bank or sell the bank. So that was our options, and we're fortunate to have gotten it sold, and we still had the branch here. So happy about that.
The back to the Coon Supper for a minute, because we're going to take a break. Let me ask you,
Okay.
are tickets still available for tonight? Can people show up
Yes.
at the door?
We have people that we have overflow areas, so we've never been turned any people away. Plus, people will turn tickets back in that can't come or are concerned about COVID. But we're going to go ahead with it, and yes, more than likely there'll be tickets available. We'll take care of anybody that shows up. With 910 pounds of raccoon, we can take care of them.
Yeah, that's a lot. Please tell me you do have other stuff to eat besides raccoon, I've heard. Is that right?
That's right.
So what else you got on the menu down there?
All right, brisket and ribs and sweet potatoes, barbecued rice, sheet cake. They'll get a Coon Supper glass with a year on it.
Oh, that's
People have
cool.
collections that go back to 1960 or so on those. So they won't go away hungry.
All right. So the speaker that you have lined up, who's the speaker you mentioned a while ago? Everybody gets to visit, and maybe the speaker doesn't even get heard. Who y'all got lined up for tonight?
We have a local pastor here of our church, Chad Phillip, will be the MC. We allow the 4 congressmen, the 2 senators, and the governor to speak if they are here, and some of those will be here. Some of them won't. I know Bozeman is going to be here. But then we might go down to the next highest officer of whoever comes might speak. And sometimes they have to get everybody's attention before they speak, so they will pay attention to them.
Who are some of the most famous people that you can think of that you've had attended in the past?
Well, you've got, of course, Clinton, and then I've seen pictures of Faubus there, so that would have been. I probably started going to the Coon Supper when I was in about the 9th grade. That'd be 62 or 3, somewhere back in there. Huckabee came with the governor of Oklahoma one year, and he came straight from the duck hunting, and he had on camouflage. That was one of the few motions that was ever made at our meetings after the Coon Supper that was defeated. One of the men, his wife, asked him to make a motion that we not allow camouflage at the Coon Supper, and that motion was defeated. I can imagine, not allowing camouflage at the Coon Supper.
I was going to say, hey, Larry, I need you to hang on just for 1 second, Larry. I got to take a break here at the station. You're listening to the Kim Hammer Show. We have on Larry Bauer, who's the treasurer of the Gillette Coon Supper that's taking place tonight. We'll get you directions here in a second, but I'm going to tell y'all, if you want to support a good cause, you want to take a drive in the country, and you want to go down and have a good time, this would really be a good event for you to go, because it will help those that really need some help, to be honest with you. And you know that all the money goes to a good source. And this is kind of an event of notoriety. If you're anybody, you're probably going to be there. And so it'd be a good opportunity. You hang on a second, Larry, if you will, and we come back from the break. I got a few more questions. Okay. This is Kim Hammer Show.
Sure.
Be back right after the break. Welcome back to the Kim Hammer Show here on 101.1 FM, The Answer. I hope you're enjoying a great Saturday, and I want to encourage you, if you don't have any plans for tonight, I've got Larry Bauer, who's the treasurer of the Gillette Coon Supper that takes place every year. Give you an opportunity to go down there and just experience it. We'll go into what's on the menu in a minute. Then I'm going to have to let Larry go because I've got an engagement that I've got to get to earlier today that I didn't expect. I'm going to have to do. I also want to give you a plug that a week from today, at the church that I pastor, which is Saline Baptist Church down in the community of Tull. It's about 15 minutes outside of Benton, that we're going to be doing a sportsman banquet. Our guest speaker is going to be Dr. Sonny Tucker, who's the executive director of the State Baptist Association here in Arkansas. Sonny is an excellent speaker. He's an avid outdoorsman, has hunted probably anything that crawls on the face of the earth, and he will provide great entertainment for us. We're going to have a lot of door prizes and some significant door prizes. And if you would like to go, you can just show up at the door. You don't have to purchase anything in advance. We're just asking for a $5 donation to help cover the cost of it. Weather provided, we are actually going to do a skeet shoot from 4 to 5:30. You bring your gun, bring your shells. We're recommending, either bird shot or turkey, turkey shells. Bring that. We're going to have a little award for best, but it's going to be an opportunity for you just to mix and mingle with some really good quality people. Our menu is going to include a lot of wildlife, but we'll also have the traditional catfish and pork butt and the desserts that go with it. We're going to have game and fish there. Game and fish will be available to answer questions, and that's at Saline Baptist Church in the community of Tull outside of Benton. The doors open at 6. The other thing we're going to do is if you have a favorite mount, my grandson killed nearly a 400-pound bear we're going to have there. But if you'll bring your favorite mount and you can enter into the competition, we'll have a prize for that. You have your favorite dish that you like to cook, and you want to bring that, enter that into a competition, you can do that. Again, the skeet shoot will be from 4 to 5:30. Doors actually open at 5:30. Meal will be served at 6, and Sonny will be speaking. We'll be giving away door prizes throughout the night. That's at Saline Baptist Church in the community of Tull outside of Benton. You can send me a message through the Facebook here or through my website, thekimhammershow.com, and I'll be glad to get you directions. And as I mentioned, you don't have to order tickets in advance. You can just show up at the door. We've got a pretty good amount of food prepared for you. But tonight, you can go down to the Gillette Coon Supper. That's in Gillette. Larry, tell folks, and I know they can Google and GPS and all that good stuff, from Little Rock, how long does it take to drive down to Gillette?
You're about an hour and a half to 2 hours from Gillette, about 90 miles. Okay. So south of DeWitt, north of Dumas. So,
all right. And on the menu, you're going to have the coon, but tell them what else you're going to have just to make sure their stomachs don't turn.
Right. There'll be brisket and ribs, sweet potatoes, and barbecued rice, sheet cake, and it takes the whole community to get it together and get everything prepared. But
and how big is Gillette now?
I'd say it's about 700 people.
Okay. All right. And I guess all 700 people show up?
Pretty close, especially the groups that get together with kind of their reunions from their classes back when they graduated. So, yes, there'll be. But a lot of wannabe politicians this year, so candidates going to show up this year.
It is
an election year.
Yeah, it is a good year on that note because everybody's up for re-election on the statewide, and you got a lot of the constitutional officers up. So you ought to have a good turnout for that. Tickets are $30 at the door.
Yes, $30 at the door. We can take credit cards, and no problem. We'll get you in.
All right. Anything else you want to share about the community of Gillette or about the Coon Supper tonight?
No, I think you've got it all. I hope everyone takes the time sometime to come down. I hope we can keep it going. I hope they can at least end at Coon Supper. We have people that have come back. I know from across it, they've approaching 40 years in a row of attending the Coon Supper. I know we had men that they'd come to the Coon Supper to eat raccoon. As soon as they ate the raccoon, there was 5 or 6 of them. They'd get up and leave. That's what they came for. So that's what they remember back when times were tough eating, and that's I've had people call for takeouts for raccoon. So,
if nothing else, you come for the experience, and that's one thing I'm thinking about. It's you'll be able if you want to put something on your bucket list. This is probably the one thing you want to put on your bucket list is that you attended the Gillette Coon Supper and be able. And I've had coon before, and if it's fixed right, and I know y'all fix it right down there. It's really not bad. It actually tastes pretty good, to be honest with you.
No, it's okay. It's not that bad. Not that bad.
All right, Larry, I appreciate you being on the Kim Hammer Show today.
Well, thanks for having me, Kim.
All right, thanks for calling in. All right, folks, that's Larry Bauer with the Gillette Coon Supper. I've got an obligation that I'm going to have to step out early for, but let me tell you what's coming up down the line on the Kim Hammer Show in the next few weeks. As you know, we're coming up on the primary season. We've got a lot of elected officials that are going to be running. What I'm going to do is start getting some of the elected officials on the air, and we'll be giving them an opportunity to tell about, why they need to be the one that is elected. Got some questions for them. We're working on lining that up on Saturdays here on the Kim Hammer Show, and so you can tune in. Remember this also, if you don't get a show and you want to go back and listen to one, you can go back up to my website, kimhammershow.com, and you can download them from there. And if you want to send me a message, you can send it through there. One last plug before we get away. A week from tonight, Saline Baptist Church and Community of Tull, we're doing a sportsman event. Dr. Sonny Tucker will be the speaker. He is an excellent speaker. As I said, Game and Fish will be there to answer questions. Bring your favorite mount. You can enter into a competition. Bring your favorite food dish if you want to. You can also enter that into a competition. We've got a lot of great door prizes that we're going to be giving away, so it will be a great night of fun and relaxation. I promise you there's no high-pressure sales or push about anything. It's just to provide you a good opportunity. And also, if you want to participate in the skeet shoot, be there at 4 o'clock. Bring your own gun. Bring your own shells. We'll provide everything else, weather provided, that is. So just watch the weather, and that'll start at 4 o'clock. Door open at 5:30, and then we'll enjoy supper at 6 o'clock, and it'll be a great night. And as mentioned, we're just asking for a $5 donation, but if you can't do that, just show up because we'd love to see you. Thanks for listening on the Kim Hammer Show today, and I'll see you again next Saturday.